evening, everybody. Thank y'all so much for coming to support our third literary showcase. This has been so wonderful. We were a little rusty trying to get back into in-person events, but I'll tell you, I have enjoyed every single one of these showcases. I have enjoyed being around people and sharing space to see art come to life. It has truly been awesome. And today, you guys have the pleasure of seeing the literary art showcase of Brianna Cox and Callie Matthews. Nostalgic Daydreams is their theme entitled. There will be a short talk back after this program. It runs a little over an hour, and there will be a talk back right afterwards. So, as you're watching the showcase, if there are certain pieces that you have questions about or that really stick out to you, or something in that piece resonates with you, feel free to jot it down if you'd like, and you'll have an opportunity to ask more about that piece or about the show, the experience in general, okay? So there's that, and we just ask that you silence your phones and do all the generosity moves that a great show requires. There will be no intermission for this show. It's going to go straight through all the readings. If you do have to use the restroom during the show, if you could just go in between pieces and not during the reading, okay? I think those are all my housekeeping rules. The exit is right there. Guess if you do need to exit, you'll just turn right around and you can go through those curtains and right out the door, and the restrooms are right here on this hallway. And I think those are all my housekeeping rules. I am Clanisha Sibley, and I'm the literary arts instructor. I'm going to be hanging out in the back if you guys have any questions or if you need my assistance for anything. At this moment, I'm going to bring out Brianna and Callie. And also, before we start, I do want to acknowledge the dance department, which is where we're having this show in their space tonight. And I also want to acknowledge the media arts department, who is recording this show, who has recorded all of our showcases, and they will be premiering online very soon. So, we do this, and this is sort of our way of showing love, and any time throughout the show, feel free to do this. Let's go ahead and practice it and bring out our writers who are being showcased tonight. Callie and Bree, come on out.
Hi everybody. That wasn't supposed to happen, but thank y'all so much for coming. And I would just like to preface this by saying that these pieces are personal to both of us, and so please open your heart and your mind to them, and just be kind.
Thank you all for coming and watching our showcase. We worked very hard on our pieces. They were each labors of love, and we're glad to finally be standing here today, close to the end of our literary journey at MSA. Thank you.
Burning souls of my feet. Today I sat beneath the sun and let its teeth sink into my outstretched legs, my arms tucked beneath my back in shadow. Today I reached for the endless sky, fingers outstretched in all of their insatiable greed, and imagined myself taking off my shoes and stepping into the sky's cool blue body like a pool meant for swimming. Today I watched timid green leaves bask in a golden sunset, a school of pink-stained clouds wing above my head as I eyed haphazard bumblebees and imagined the place unknown. Today, I put off my shoes, my socks, and stepped into the sky, burning the soles of my feet unexpectedly in the melting pool of sun while searching for a place undefined.
much and not enough. I've always either been too much or not enough. I remember the first time I realized I was bigger than the other kids my age. The memory is as clear as day. My mom used to dress me up in those collared shirts with the slightly puffy sleeves, a skirt that came down to my knees, the ruffled socks, and those shoes that every kid wears at some point in their life. You know the ones. The ones that you wore to both church and to school. I was wearing that exact outfit that day. I was in the 3rd grade. I had just gotten quite possibly the worst haircut of my life. It was still straight back then, just like me, and it fell just barely below my jaw. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking that I was ugly. I went to school that day, already self-conscious at the age of 9. I was sitting next to this kid that I will not name for privacy reasons. He innocently asked me, "Why does your belly poke out like that and mine doesn't?" Looking back, I knew that his question had no ill intent behind it. He was just curious, but I had never noticed before. But I did that day, and every day after that. In the following years, my weight fluctuated as much as my personality did. I was always chubby, but sometimes more so than others. In the 4th grade, I began to dress myself. I opted for baggy pants and a hoodie that was 3 times larger than what I actually wore. I couldn't stand for other people to even look at me. When I stood up, I pulled at my clothes to make sure that no part of my body was outlined. I also began taking care of my own hair at that point. I chose my haircuts and my hairstyles. I slowly lost interest in everything sanitary about myself. I stopped brushing my hair, opting for a messy bun look. After that first bad haircut, I didn't wear my hair down again until I was in the 11th grade. I hated everything about myself. My hair had started to be less straight. I had started to be less straight. My hair couldn't be defined as straight, wavy, or curly. It was all of the above, but at the same time, it was none of the above. This pattern continued until I was in the 9th grade. When I got into high school, I had completely changed who I was as a person. My mom would always look at me as if she couldn't recognize the child she had birthed and raised. I couldn't recognize her either. I went through some of the worst times of my life during this year. I got hurt for the first time. I didn't know how to cope with this hurt because I had always been so sheltered from that type of pain that came from love rather than physical injuries or insecurities buried in my head from a young age. I lost myself so much that I gained almost 30 pounds in the summer between 8th and 9th grade. When I realized I had grown even bigger during my time away from the constant reminders that I was not skinny, I spiraled. It felt as if my world came caving in at every angle. So I tried to adapt myself to fit my now capsized bubble. I shaved some of my hair off. Yes, shaved. I loved it for about an hour. Then the sun set and the reality of what I had done came crashing down on me in tidal waves. I felt like I was drowning even more than I did before. Towards the middle of my 10th grade year, I found out about the Mississippi School of the Arts. I found out 2 weeks before applications were due, and I busted my butt trying to get everything I needed in time while trying to convince my parents to let me go. I would be living away from home, which is all I wanted at the time. I wanted out of my hometown. I wanted to be away from the reminders that I was everything but. I wanted to be away from the toxic personalities that came from a small southern town. I applied for the writing program, although I'd never taken my writing seriously before then. But out of all the disciplines, that's what I would have been at least mediocre at. I thought I might have stood a chance anywhere but home. February 25th, 2019, I got a letter in the mail saying I had been accepted into the school. After weeks and weeks of preparing, auditioning, doubting, and anxiety, I had gotten in. And for the first time in a long time, I had hope. My hair felt like a metaphor for my life. My shaven part had started growing out enough for me to hide it underneath my untouched hair. I could finally put that part of my life behind me. I spent that summer trying to come to terms with the fact that once again, my entire life would change. But this time, it was for the better. I didn't feel as though my bubble had popped, but expanded. I felt as if it had changed from the black hue it held into one of cotton candy pink and sunset yellow. I felt optimistic about my life. Sadly, during this time is also when I realized that I was always either too much or not enough. My body was too big to be considered skinny, but too skinny to be considered big. I was at the size where it was hard to find in a regular store, but was just barely too small to be found in the plus size section. I couldn't decide which was harder, being a size 12 or finding a size 12. Medium-sized shirts were too small, while large-size shirts were too big. My personality had been adapted to that of survival rather than living. I was terrified of being stung, so I stung first. I pushed away the possibility of having friends when I got here. I was standoffish towards anyone that showed too much kindness towards me. It was my junior year that I met a boy. At first, he made me feel delectable, like I was the finest dish in the 5-star restaurant. He treated me like the dessert he had been anticipating the entire meal. When he was comfortable, however, I became the in-between food, the one that you eat in between the two best parts that you look forward to. I was the green beans of a steak and cheesecake meal. I was too loud and too quiet. I was too aggressive and too much of a people pleaser. I was too boisterous and too introverted. I spent my junior year living for him instead of me, instead of my experience. Senior year was when everything took a turn. I had broken up with a boy who treated me like I wasn't enough and too much at the same time. I had found my person and I clung on to her like a raft in a furious ocean. She made me happy, and I mean the real kind, not the kind that you pose for in pictures and show to others. I was a happy that settled in my gut and inflated my ribs. I was still unsure of my body though, but as the months have drawn on and life has thrown every possible loop at me, I feel as though I've persevered. I am still too much sometimes, but I will never think I am not enough ever again.
Clouds like mountains. I never learned from the summer heat. I opened my window every morning just to see the cool blue sky, to feel it reflect in my eyes, emptiness giving way to a peaceful fullness. And most of all, at night when I argue with my sweltering prison of twisted sheets, I remember the clouds. I remember the blossoming behemoths of white I once vowed to climb in search of the sun. I remember the plump, grand bodies I scrawled into memory as I remembered all of my dreams living and the way the rain felt yesterday.
Sunlight on her skin. Sunlight on her skin, she danced with the clouds as I watched. The wind rippled through her clothes. Our love is as free as the clouds in the sky. I watched the sunlight in the safety of her arms. She kissed my hair and traced the freckles on my shoulders. There were no need for words. We can taste them on the tips of our tongues. Moonlight in her hair, she sang to the stars as I listened. The words rippled through my chest. Our love is as free as the stars in the sky. I watched the constellations move across her eyes, chest to chest with my lover. Jupiter and Pluto have aligned with the Earth. Together, we are floating.
It feels like the end. As it rains outside of my window into the world, gray, weary clouds form inside my head. Cracks of lightning piercing the gloom, rain like teardrops falling quietly, without a sound. It feels like the end. Today, it feels like the beginning of a tomorrow I never hoped for, but beyond my clouded head, beyond the immovable barrier of my window, sunlight shines upon the slit clumps of vivid green grass, dotting the earth with yellow as light trickles down, timidly, through the waterlogged leaves. It feels like the end, perhaps the end of the rain and this hopeless tomorrow. It feels like the end of this frightening cloud within my crowded skull. It feels like the end of waiting.
Don't be afraid to stick your head out of the sunroof. July 4th, 2020. It was a warm summer night. The crickets were chirping and the trees were swaying. The breeze was pushing my hair off of my shoulders and the night felt endless. Not to sound like one of those cheesy coming-of-age movies, but I really did feel infinite. You might be wondering why. There are a few factors to consider when one feels this way. Who, what, where, when, and why. You already know the when, so let's talk about the who and the where. The lake near my dad's house, Little Black Creek, puts on a fireworks show for every major holiday, 4th of July being one of them. I remember standing at the edge of the lake, looking at the stars making the ripples in the water sparkle. I looked over to see my step-siblings, Lorelai and Carlton, staring at it as well. I looked to the other side and saw my other friends, Kaylin and Michaela. I remember staring at them in awe as the first firework lit up their faces and eyes. The colors that bathed their faces will always be my favorite. I remember watching their smiles more than I watched the explosions of light in the dark sky. Looking at the joy in their faces and the sparkles in the water made me feel a certain type of heaviness in my chest that, for the first time in a while, was because of something positive. I I remember hearing the laughter from everyone around me, and I realized I was laughing with them. We all decided to lay down on the grass and watch the sky that way. I can still feel the grass stabbing into my back and thighs, but not carrying even a little. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. I remember one firework that was so bright, I said to my friends, I feel like God is taking a picture of me with the flash on. It was merely me thinking out loud, but this only caused them to laugh a little too loudly. Hearing their genuine laughs that came straight from their bellies caused the heavy feeling in my chest to expand and to warm up. I've never been a sentimental person. Things come and things go, that's just the way life works. I was never one to hold on to a childhood toy or blanket. I never cared when people entered and left my life like I was a revolving door. But because of this night, fireworks aren't just fireworks anymore. Purple isn't just purple. It's the light reflecting in their eyes and dancing across their faces. Fireworks are visual representations of my heart on that summer night. Up next, we have the what and the why. After the fireworks were finished, we laid on the itchy, moist ground for just a little while longer. We allowed the ashes to settle and our hearts to stop racing. We bathed in the afterglow of one of the wonders of the world. We watched families and couples stare at the dark sky in wonder long after the lights stopped flashing. We slowly watched the people clear the area out. We were one of the last to go. I remember piling all of us into my stepmom's car. We rode out of there with the windows down and music blasting. I had control of the music, so I was granted front seat access. As we were driving down the empty road, one of my favorite songs came on. If you've ever heard Midnight City by M83, you know that that song is the embodiment of pure joy. It sounds like midnight rendezvous with the windows down. I could still see Lorelai's face when I looked over at her with wide eyes. I knew we were thinking the same thing. As the chorus was coming up, she hit the button that opened the sunroof. I can remember looking at her before she looked up at the now exposed starry night. My heart was racing because I had never done anything like this. I was nervous and scared to fall. I told her I was scared and she just laughed and said, just do it, who cares? I had always been jealous of her carefree attitude, so I decided that, just for the night, I'd be someone else. Someone who wasn't afraid to stand up and feel the wind on their face. So, I slipped my seatbelt off and took my muddy shoes off before climbing to the center and sticking my upper body out of the sunroof. I wish I could put into words the euphoria that filled my veins the second I stood up. I felt as if the weight of the world had finally been lifted from my slouching shoulders. I stuck my arms up into the sky just as the chorus hit. I could feel the wind roughly blowing my hair behind me and making my clothes ripple. I looked into the sky and saw that the stars weren't moving with me. It felt wrong that I was moving so fast, yet the stars had to stay in one spot and just watch me enjoy life for the first time in a long time. I closed my eyes and focused on the song. I could hear the wind harshly hitting my skin and the song cementing itself in my gut. And although I lost my glasses due to the turbulence, I had never seen more clearly. Ever since I was a kid, I was always scared of taking risks. I was scared of the outcome. Everything is a risky thing when you're constantly afraid to mess something up. I've always constantly sought validation by doing the things that everyone else wanted. I never stuck my head out of the sunroof. I never laid on the grass during a fireworks show, scared that passing people would think I'm weird. I never laughed too loud and feared that someone would think I was obnoxious. I've always carried fear and insecurity on my shoulders like Atlas. There was never any real reason for this anxiety. It just attached itself to my conscience like a parasite. It was always in the back of my head when making a decision. It even affected the foods I liked and disliked. I was insecure about things that no one even pays attention to. I had lived my life so afraid of everything that I never got to experience anything. I had simply been existing rather than living. I never let myself feel the wind rushing against my skin. But the second my head was out of the sunroof, it felt like every anxiety and displeasure I had ever felt dissolved with the wind. I let my head fall back with my eyes closed as I felt myself let go, and I mean really let go, for the very first time. I wasn't afraid anymore. And maybe I was never really afraid in the first place. Sure, I was afraid of falling, but I wasn't afraid of sticking out. I wanted to be unique. I wanted everyone to look at me and think, wow, I've never seen anyone like that. And I don't consider being weird an insult or more of one of the biggest compliments. Being weird is being unique. And I spent my entire life running from uniqueness when I should have been running towards it. I should have been running towards it with open arms and a smile. Ever since that night, I've dressed the way I want to dress. I've worn the weird makeup and the earrings that I've wanted to wear. Moral of the story is, don't let societal expectations or even parental expectations keep you from sticking your head out of the sunroof. The greatest advice I've heard in a while was, no one is paying attention to you because they are too busy paying attention to themselves to notice you. I've lived my life thinking that everyone had a judgmental eye out for me when in reality, the only person they are most likely judging is themselves. Live your life the way you want to, nothing less. Don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to leave impressions on people. Don't spend your life living for others because at the end of the day, you're going to have to live with your decisions. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and upset people. Everyone messes up and people get disappointed all the time. Live your life for you and you only. Live today like it's your last and forget about the consequences for once. Don't think too far ahead. You are here in this moment, right here and right now. Don't be afraid to blast your favorite song and don't be afraid to stick your head out of the sunroof.
A shift in sanctuary. If you look past gnarled branches, rippled streets, and swirls of exhaust, a line winds through the quiet like some kind of sanctuary. I walk this path many times in my mind, walking the steps to tomorrow every night. Here, the moon stands as my only companion, floating in the polluted sky like a smudged, ethereal being. And my only want at that moment will manifest in the shape of nebulous clouds. I want to sink into this path. I want the sky to gather me up and remove me from concrete burdens. I want to become one with color. I want to spill into the safety of something else. But winter will never leave. Winter with its pale voice and whispered warnings. Winter with its cold hands and cuddling laugh. Winter always shakes the bones of a withered soul. My chest feels hollow. So along this winding line of sanctuary, I pick up the pieces of beauty that fall endlessly from the ghastly trees. Along this line, I search for the stars that copper clouds of toxicity have obscured. Along this line that winds through my cavernous, bleak brain, fragments of emotion arrest my perception, and I melt into a dream world constructed of my own color and meaning.
An open letter to myself. Dear me, what you're feeling is okay. I know sometimes it won't feel okay, but it is. It is okay to not be okay, and it is okay to be just okay. You don't always have to be good. You don't always have to smile when you're hurting. It is okay to show pain, to show vulnerability. It is okay to ask for help even if you feel like you're bothering someone. It is okay to open up and stop keeping everything so bottled up. Say what you feel. If something has upset you, don't pretend like it didn't. You are worthy of happiness. It is okay to be scared. Everyone is. Everything is changing. Your friends are changing. Your family is changing. You're changing. Let the people around you help when they offer. It's okay to be scared of asking for what you want, but closed mouths don't get fed. Remember, the worst that can happen is they say no. The world won't end. The sun will rise, and we will try again. Remember that you are young. You don't need to be so serious all the time. It is okay to be silly and wild. That's what teenagers do. Have fun. Scratch that. Have a blast. Make drastic decisions. Regret them. Rinse. Repeat. This is the time to experiment with new things. This is the youngest you'll ever be. Live it up. It is okay to love deeply. It is okay to give your all to someone you love. It is okay to trust others even if you get hurt. These years are trial and error. Nothing is right. It is okay to let go. You don't have to hold grudges because someone has hurt you in the past. It is okay to forgive someone who hasn't apologized. It is okay to make new friends even though your friends back home forbid it. You don't have to be miserable for the sake of someone else's feelings. They will make new friends just like you will. Nothing is permanent. Most people that come in your life will be a lesson, but there will be a few blessings. You will find your blessing. It is okay to be confused about everything. Nobody blames you. Nobody is judging you. They're confused too. Everyone is confused. Nobody has everything planned out. Even if they do, their plans will change. So will yours. Change your mind. Change it again. You have nothing but time. Make mistakes. Make them again, because whoever really learns the first time? You will make mistake after mistake after mistake, but you'll get it right. Don't hold your downfalls against yourself. It is okay to want to stay in your room forever and ever, but don't. Go out, explore some more, meet new people, smile at strangers, compliment things you like. I'm sure that cashier wasn't weirded out when you told her how beautiful her lipstick looked against her skin. You have always found beauty in everything you see. Continue to do that. Tell your friends you love them. You don't have to talk every day to know that they love you and that you love them. You're young adults now. You can put yourself first for the first time in your life. It is okay to miss people who are no longer a part of your life. Remember that what's meant to be will be. Not everything will play out the way you want, but it will play out the way you need. Remember that even if everybody leaves, you have you. You will always have you. Learn to go out and have fun, but also learn to enjoy your own company. Talk to yourself if you need it. Encourage yourself. Love yourself. It is okay to want to sacrifice your happiness for someone else's, but don't. Your happiness is just as important as the next person's. But most of all, it is okay to be you. You are interesting. You are worthy of everything you want in life. Forever and always.
Tired of swallowing your breath. For a moment, a myriad of warm, radiant colors scatters across me ever so tintingly, as the sun climbs out of my bowels and smolders pleasantly in my warming chest, until the dazzling speck of light begins to burn my throat. I cough and feel the speck rolling across my tongue, thudding against the shapeless walls of my vapor teeth. And with my taste buds erupting into a white-hot fire, I feel the speck roll in between my lips like a word too painful to express. I have no choice but to allow the sun to plop into the light blue cool of my collarbone, sending frothy sprays of cumulus clouds sunning down my sides as a strange tingling pervades my arms and my fingertips, and the sun begins to sear my clavicles. All at once, I am vulnerable. My sprawling body touched by the light of a new day, my blue subjected to scrutinizing eyes, crying eyes, empty eyes that torment me but nowhere near as much as the plumes of breath. The whispers of the lungs below fill me with something I cannot possibly identify, something that drives me mad. You see, I am simply tired of swallowing your breath, your apathy, your unnecessarily painful existence. I want to feel winged creatures swim through my insides with fluttering feathers catching the sun, and fish with glittering scales in their jaws. I want to taste the minty needles of pine trees on mountains, the sticky, spicy fronds of palms on a pristine shore, the decadent rocks on the riverside. I want to fill my lungs with the salt of waves, the ripples of rivers, the murky clarity of pond water. I want to feel fish fly into my belly button and snakes slid around my wrists and nibbles sigh into my open chest and birds stretch their wings in my tangled cirrus hair. But with every breath, I collect your destructive monotony, your parasitic tendencies. I cannot breathe. But I will swallow your breath day after day, my cracks of fury, cries of anguish, puddling tears not enough to deter your agonizing existence. And as the winged creatures are plucked from my wispy skin, and as my singed tongue perceives nothing but the tasteless metal of skyscrapers, and as I choke on your apathetic breath, the speck of light will slip out of sight. And I will cry out as my blue is set aflame and unraveled into strips of purple, pink, and orange. And I will whisper 1,000 prayers in hopes of reclaiming the stars that once freckled my bruised, abused body. For now, I only seek the night to feel nothing, but the absence of your breath I will swallow again tomorrow.
Do you know I know who we are? Who am I to say that I know myself when I cannot even tell you the exact curl pattern my hair holds or the color of my irises? Who am I to say that I know you when you act as if you're a new person every single day? Who am I really? Am I shy, outgoing, boisterous, rambunctious? Who are you really? Are you mine, hers, his, gone? Do I know who I am? Everything in my life has been questioned once, twice, 3 times. Do I know who you are? You've changed your love for me once, twice, too many times. Do you know who I am? Do you know how my lip curls when I read, or how my teeth hold on to my bottom lip when I'm concentrating? What makes me laugh, cry? Do we even know who we are? What made you change?
Twisting, turning. Mine like the endless curves of country roads, filled with pessimism, the color of a faded summer sky, hope like clouds, promising rain, thoughts twisting, turning, the future beyond, a possible grasp, the present flavor of melted ice cream, heart beating to the rhythm of a forgotten tune, nostalgia potent and lying on the tip of the tongue, uncertainty, all too real, like the isolation felt when emotions calcify, become buried rocks in a cluttered chest, and the endless abyss of noise grows loose.
Dear Diary, I love everything about it, even the pain that comes with the inevitable heartbreak. Whether it be a breakup or death, love will always cause pain. But there are good moments that make up for this unavoidable pain. I want a good love story. I think I deserve that much. I don't want to love where I meet on social media or some dating app. I want to love where boy approaches girl or girl approaches boy, and they immediately just click. I want to love they write about. I don't know if I believe it or not, though. The books and movies make it too easy. I want difficult, but I don't want hard. Love shouldn't be hard. I don't know if I believe in soulmates. The whole concept, while beautiful and poetic, is very unrealistic. There are 7,655,957,397 people in the world, and counting. If there's only one person that is my soulmate, the odds of finding them are basically impossible. Now, of course, there will be people that I think are my soulmate, until they're not. I'd like to think that we have multiple soulmates the way we have multiple loves. This seems a bit more fair in my opinion. I love love, but I'm not sure if I believe in it. I think people have intense infatuations for long periods of time. I think those infatuations go away eventually, but you're stuck with that person because you've been together for so long. People say that love is something you work for every day. Everyone always says that love isn't a feeling but an action. It's something you have to work for every day to keep going. Love is just a social construct to make humans feel like they have a purpose and meaning. If love were a real thing, then why don't animals fall in love? Some animals are monogamous creatures, but that's more loyalty than love. And some people will argue that loyalty and love are the same thing, but I've been loyal to those I don't love and love those I wasn't loyal to. I often find myself thinking too deeply about this. Does it exist? What if it doesn't? But what if it does?
Moment. The evening sky yawns above, pink clouds scattered across a blue so soft it reminds me of melted sherbet. I love this moment. A gentle wind sways the branches of a tree overhead, and pale green leaves welcome the tender breath of the sky, all while capturing the pastel mirth of the ethereal mess of the atmosphere. I pause in this moment, allow the wind to weave through my hair and feel my eyes bleeding, so much color, my mind illuminated by the stars.
Woman, do not wear your clothes too tight, do not show off your chest, but you must have good posture. Close your legs, squeeze them shut, nothing must get through. Keep your smile tight, your chin up. Do not cry your crocodile tears in front of anyone, ever. Keep every strand of hair on your head combed and styled. Do not show your pain to the men that will hurt you. Learn to cook a meal while you learn to write in cursive. How will you ever keep a husband if you don't cook for him?
What if I don't want to get married?
What kind of woman doesn't want to get married? Keep your skirts below your fingertips and never walk anywhere alone. Keep your keys clasped between your fingers, ready to defend yourself against the world.
What if the men who can't seem to take no for an answer?
You can never tell a man no.
What's mine is his, and what is his is also his.
See, you're getting it now. This is how you apply the right amount of blush to appear innocent, even though we know you aren't. Do not smile at men you do not know. This will be taken as an invitation. If you must smile at someone you do not like, keep the lips closed and the eyes unaffected. If you do like this person, smile with your teeth and crinkle the corners of your eyes. Do not frown all the time. Keep a gentle face.
But I was not born with a gentle face, and I thought you said not to smile at the men.
Then make a gentle face and stop arguing with me. When you sit down, cross your legs, place your hands right over left on the top of your knee. Do not tell people how you are really feeling. If they ask, you're doing just fine. It's a lovely day we're having, don't you think? Do not ever break the rules that are being listed. I know you want to. Do you want to be that girl? The one who stays out late with doo-wops and hooligans wearing short skirts and red lipstick? You are a pink lipstick girl. Remember that. Pink lipstick is gentle and innocent. Red lipstick is too seductive and will make you look like a whore. Keep your mouth closed when the men are talking. You will never know enough to join in on the conversation. This is how to fold a shirt properly. This is how to do your laundry without messing up any of the fabrics. Iron your outfit before you put it on. No man will ever want a slob. But as a young woman, you are expected to have a perfect smile, slim waist, large breasts, and an hourglass figure with a round bottom. You must be thick, but God forbid that wretched belly fat. If you don't wear makeup, you don't care about your appearance. But if you do wear makeup, my goodness, you're lying to the men about your true identity.
What if I wear this makeup for myself? What if I go barefaced for myself? Why is it so somehow about the men?
Don't you know we need the validation? Keep your fingernails and toenails polished, pretty and unchipped, just like the rest of you. If you have never been touched by the rough hands of a man, you are a prude, tease, killjoy. If you have been kissed and caressed by the slow fingertips of a man, you are a slut, whore, prostitute. Save yourself for the one. Hate yourself for being so inexperienced. Give it up to the first boy that calls you pretty. Hate yourself anyway for being too experienced. How many people have you slept with?
Does it matter?
Of course it matters. Who wants to marry a woman like that? Don't ever let your true feelings shine through, but you must show compassion and love. Oh, you're angry? Nobody can know. He hurt your cute little feelings? Get over it. The world is programmed to tear women down. Watch the news. Realize that nobody cares about women until they've been raped or murdered. Nobody cares about the women until their naked, dead bodies are found in an alleyway. They will use you for sex and throw you away like a Band-Aid that doesn't stick to the skin anymore. Then when an accident occurs that kills off some of their precious merchandise, suddenly all the headlines are, "Save the women!" These are the expectations you must fill.
Chasing everything. Leaves of so many shades of green, flashing by in an instant as the sun melts into the horizon ahead, casting the mountain range of clouds within an ethereal light. Face pressed against the warm glass of the vehicle's window, I feel the startling depth of this moment as much as I feel the ache in my heart, the longing for something impossibly out of reach, the want to chase everything as the sun melts into oblivion and the dandelions give themselves to summer's wind. And the clouds strip their pastel humor onto the green faces sliding by, the austere eyes' reflection.
I'm her, and she is me. I never wanted to hurt her. That was never my intention. I only wanted to love her the way she desperately deserved. But sometimes I look in the mirror and all I can see is imperfections. Her gap teeth, her chubby fingers, her belly. She used to lay in her mother's arms, her delicate hair falling around her face, her sweet scent curling around her head. She used to curl up in her father's lap, but she outgrew them.
and ran to the arms of boys who didn't deserve her, and turned to strangers to fill the space. She outgrew her clothes and her shoes, but never the emptiness. The emptiness seemed to grow with her. It watched her age, and it stayed right beside her. She outgrew her self-love and depended on others to make her feel whole. The hole in her chest only grew as the years drew on. She always felt this. Her breasts have never been as large as expected. Her hips have dips. Her belly pokes over the waist of her belt. Her hips, always just a little too wide to fit between the bus seats. Her thighs always make his look small. Her mouth too small yet too big at the same time. Her overdramatic ideas. Her floodgates for her eyes. Her heart acts as if it might break at any given moment. But this is a woman. This is normal. This is beautiful. The cracks and crevices that make up her all come together to form a surreal form of femininity. She is a woman in her purest form, and I am her. I have to sit down and think sometimes. I have to remember the miracles she does for me every single day. She pumps blood to every organ just to keep me breathing. She can create an entirely new person in just 9 months with the help of just one cell. She can feed this new human with her body. She can protect me against almost anything. This perfectly imperfect body does so much for me, so why have I hated her so much? What has she done to me other than love me? What have I done for her other than letting people in that don't deserve it? She is soft and fragile, but tough and invincible. She is everything godly in one. She is Aphrodite and she is Zeus. She is wanderlust and lightning. She has an entire universe sitting within her uterus and her ribs. She is me. She is more than a pretty face and a warm bed, but she is a home. Don't forget to treat her as such.
Pretending we live in yesterday. Every day, I slip into memories as easily as slipping on worn shoes. And I walk through so many days, yellowed by time and nostalgia. And I reminisce for hours until my feet begin to bleed and my imagination tires. Can we pretend we live in yesterday? When the sky was blue, but not empty, and flowers bloomed in my eyes, and living was sweet, happiness bursting on the tip of my tongue. Can we pretend we live in yesterday? I preserve the memories like flowers, pressing them between the pages of my mind where they fade and become alarmingly fragile. I fear that one day every last petal will disintegrate, leaving my mind vacant and starved of any life. I fear that my efforts of preservation are futile. But perhaps I must claim today, and abandon all of my impossible want. Perhaps I must find flesh flowers, memories with an expiration date beyond yesterday's paper-thin petals. Happiness still lingers on the tip of my tongue. I have only lost my sense of taste.
I forgive myself, but I don't forgive you. I forgive myself, but I don't forgive you. This might seem selfish and hypocritical, but I don't care. I deserve to forgive myself for my past mistakes. You were one of them. You came too early and left too late. I was too young and you were too old. I loved you, but you didn't love me. I forgive myself, but I don't forgive you. I loved you too easily, no questions asked. I loved you too deeply, no feelings spared. Sometimes I sit and think about what I would have done for you, or what I would have done differently if given the chance. Even with this mindset, I can't honestly say whether or not I would change the past. Would I change the things you did to me, the moments we shared, Would I change what I felt or what I said? I forgive myself, but I don't forgive you. I forgive myself for letting both your presence and your absence affect me so deeply. I forgive myself for depending on you for my happiness. I forgive myself for lying to everyone I love about what we had. I forgive myself for letting you in. I don't forgive you for coming into my life just to leave it. I don't forgive you for filling my head with these cotton candy lies. I don't forgive you for telling me that everything will be okay when you knew that you were going to leave me. I don't forgive you for abusing your role as my protector, my keeper. I don't forgive you for looking into my eyes and telling me that I can trust you when you knew all along we weren't going to stay. I don't forgive you for moving on with your life and just leaving me here alone. I forgive myself for giving you kisses in the dark. I forgive myself for holding your hand when no one else would. I forgive myself for standing by your side when I had no reason to. I forgive myself, but I don't forgive you. I forgive myself for having these scars, but I don't forgive you for giving them to me. I didn't ask for this. All I ever wanted was a happy ending. I know I'm young and I know I have plenty of time to get that happy ending, but I'm so scared that I won't ever be able to forgive you and truly let someone in again. I'm so scared that the wounds from my past will keep reopening and bleeding on the people that I never want to see my blood. I forgive my body for betraying me, even when I knew who you were and what was going to happen eventually. I forgive my heart for telling my head that it'll be okay as long as I get to hold you one more time. I forgive my hands for still remembering how your cheeks felt leaning against them. I forgive my eyes for memorizing the crook of your nose and the scar on your eyebrow. I forgive my nose for remembering exactly how you smell. I forgive my mouth for telling you that I love you. I forgive my hair for spilling over your chest when I leaned into you. I forgive my knees for falling to the ground when you left. I forgive my toes for lying to me and telling me that this was going to be forever. I forgive my thighs for sacrificing themselves to me when I needed a canvas. I forgive my skin for getting goosebumps when you said my name in the way that you always did. I will always forgive myself, and I hope one day I can forgive you too. I forgive myself for not being able to love the good ones back. I forgive myself for loving many versions of you over and over and over. I forgive myself for treating him so badly when he did nothing to deserve it. I forgive myself for treating you so well when I knew in my bones that you didn't deserve it. I forgive myself for not being able to forgive you. I forgive myself for not being able to let you go when I know I need to. I forgive myself for hurting your loved ones in the process. I forgive myself for loving you, but I will never forgive you for not loving me.
I believe in everything. The world spins at 1,000,000 miles per hour, shakes you out of sanity, spills your last glass of chocolate milk. But the endless, inescapable swirl of time and space means nothing. It means absolutely nothing when the sky drips with so much warm, radiant color, filling your eyes to the brim. It means nothing when ice cream melts, speckles the afternoon with summer daydreams. It means nothing when orange colors everything, lingering in every scene where hatred once lay, and flowers bloom, the sun explodes, and the optimism is so rich, so vivacious, that every crack, every crevice is beautiful, is art. I believe in everything, and I believe because in this moment we are alive, and that is enough.
Paradise. Paradise is your arm around me as we walk at night. It's your smile when I look at you. It's your laugh when I do something clumsily. It's your patience with my horrible memory. It's your total focus on me, even if you heard the story twice before. It's the way you cut my cheek, and it's the way I lean into your love. Paradise is a cold fall day. It's warm clothes and even warmer coffee. It's happy and it's okay. It's wrapped up in cinnamon sugar. It's sweet and it's spicy. It's my favorite book and my favorite music all at once. Paradise is orange and it is red, fading into the sun. It is the color of the sky just before dark. It's the crunch of the leaves when you step on them. It's the perfect cup of coffee. It's the crisp smell of a book. It's the way my favorite pen glides across paper. Paradise is the way your cologne stays in my hair. It's the laughter of my friends. It's the hugs that I can stay in all day. It's the smiles of strangers passing by me in the street. It's the sound of acrylic nails tapping on a table. It's the dress that fits just right. It's the jeans that give me that little boost. Paradise is the averageness that is not at all average in the eyes of a diamond. It's the smoothness of a brand new computer keypad. It's how perfectly your hand fits in mine. It's how you cry with me when I'm sad. Paradise doesn't always have to be this one specific place. Paradise can be everyone and everything. Paradise can fit in your pocket, or it may fill up your life. Paradise is you, paradise is me.
Coffee and dandelions. Blooming past the point of sanity, yellow and optimistic and full of resilience and love for the world, bursting in white clouds of sincerity, a weed shaking with too much caffeine, young green arms thrown out to catch this greasy, sweat-stained world in one enormous embrace, a mere dot of unwanted, obviously struggling yellow. Within an endless sea of cracked concrete, fierce bright eyes, the color of criminally bitter coffee, taking on the world one day at a time.
The unexpected betrayal of pizza delivery. Patrick collapses into a chair, testing the unfamiliarity of it with a shallow lean as his eyes skim the desk before him. He checks the overhead light. It fails to respond. Irritatingly drumming his fingers on his denim leg, Patrick drops a stare to the dim desktop. The room owes its only source of light to a beguiling window with a large but bleak view of brick. Everything feels cold, empty. The desk is cramped and speckled with crumbs. Everything is speckled with crumbs. Lingering bits of yesterday's savory moments, of days now impossible to encounter. My guy, yo, I'm getting some pizza. Want anything? Comes a voice that literally shatters the sound barrier. Patrick shakes his head and says, without facing his new roommate, no thank you, Todd. Bruh, okay, later dude. The door to their freshman door slams. After a moment of blank quiet, Patrick pulls his wallet out of his jeans pocket. He thumbs through its contents like one arduously pinpoints the perfect radio frequency, flipping through folded letters, pennies, and doodles with numb fingers. And when his fingertips land on the destination of his subconscious, Patrick is paralyzed. He stares at the business card he once punished with endless scowls. It reads, "The pizza place is the supreme pizza place." To his surprise, Patrick laughs. It feels outrageous and a bit inappropriate, but he laughs until tears prick his eyes. He is awakening. He has no choice but to remember. And the pinpricks of laughter become so much more until he is drowning within a river of fragments of dreams, his eyes slipping through the silly slogan in his hand. The late summer sun showered the evening with a blissful radiance. Patrick gripped the sun-bathed steering wheel in one hand, flipping through radio stations with the other. Pop filled the car and slipped through the open windows like carefree bubbles, but then classical rock arrested the atmosphere with its infectious guitar rhythms. Patrick, who currently dwelled in horrendous traffic like a fish in a stagnant stream, silenced the music and face-planted into his steering wheel's horn. Patrick respected dear old Sally. She was more gray than anything else. Her horn sounded like a wheezing laugh, and she had cost less than a tuba, but he loved her. After a month of taking her on pizza delivery spins, Patrick could not recount her brand name to save his GPA, but he loved her, and most importantly, the vehicle and the human shared one unifying motivation: money. Dear old Sally had quite an appetite for gas. Her hunger was so profound, in fact, that it dwarfed Patrick's plans for a law degree worth more than a house. When a chorus of shrieking horns joined Sally's, Patrick picked his head off the steering wheel and blinked. Empty road before him. Where to? Oh yeah, blah blah blah, street, 1870, whatever. He would forget the address anyway. Patrick lightly pressed the gas pedal, elated by the free stretch of asphalt before him. Guided by street signs, Patrick navigated the twists and turns of the road in search of the printed address on his usual slip of paper. Although he prioritized the address of his 10th delivery, Patrick allowed himself to admire the seasonal change. Even now, Patrick remembers the multitude of green, so many shades present in the leaves that crayons can never capture, not even a pack of 100. Even now, Patrick remembers the light in the grass and the tender blue sky. He remembers the fresh feel of the wind as he made endless loops and turns. And most of all, he remembers entering a neighborhood he had never seen before. Houses with wooden side palings stood next to brick, and pastel stucco resided by stark white concrete. He remembers parking next to a plastic owl wearing a Christmas hat. The obscene decoration perched on top of a mailbox displaying the address in Patrick's hand. Unbuckling his seatbelt, Patrick eyed the yellow brick of his customer's house with amusement. He perceived at least 10 blonde flamingos communing in the yard. Colorful windmills lined the driveway. Patrick combed a quick hand through his hair, checked the rearview mirror for food in his braces, and grabbed the order in question, a regular pepperoni pizza. Oh, the time had arrived at last. Patrick abandoned Sally's overwhelming stench of pizza and stepped into the buoyant air of the pleasant day. He did not mind driving, but as a lonely extrovert, Patrick thoroughly enjoyed meeting his customers. So far, he had delivered a pizza to a group of soccer moms with divorce papers, a germaphobe that doused him in air freshener, and an elderly man dressed as a wizard. Behind every door stood an intriguing stranger. With the cardboard pizza box warming his hands, Patrick approached the pale blue door. Patrick still remembers the door. It reminds him of the sky, and he loves the sky almost as much as he did Sally. After rapping his knuckles against the wood, no doorbell made an appearance. Patrick swayed in his boredom, relaxing his grip on the pizza. College application deadlines consumed his attention. Resumes needed organizing, and he had not a single essay. Patrick would miss the early action option for sure, but he believed in himself. His brothers had attended Harvard, and so did his dad. Patrick nodded to himself. Yes, he would definitely meet the regular deadline. And hopefully, by the beginning of next year's fall, Patrick would have accumulated enough cash to attend the school of his dreams comfortably. With the presence of scholarships, Patrick should. The pale blue doors swung open. A year later, Patrick remembers this moment quite vividly. A stranger stood in the doorway. She had black hair, but the roots were an obvious overgrown brown. Black smudges of makeup circled her tired eyes, and she wore a caustic, unamused expression. Sup, she said in a rattling, hoarse voice, the word only offered as a forced pleasantry. Oh, just enjoying the arrival of fall. I hope you find the weather pleasant as well. And I must say, with the arrival of fall, the pizza place is attracting 50 cents from any brownie of your choice. And might I add that pumpkin fondant squares will make an appearance? What a deal, right? Actual fondant. The stranger regarded Patrick with a glacial stare. I haven't seen you before. You must be new on the job. Either you want a hefty tip or you're ridiculously eager. Look, dude, this is the facade. Save your energy. I only have $1 tip for you. Patrick's attempt at a professional, energetic composure suddenly deflated. Only $1? Forgive me, ma'am, but... Ma'am, I'm 19. I'm not your grandma. Well, you live over 5 minutes away from our place of business. By default, tips at this distance should need a minimum of at least $3. My car needs gas. If you're not going to tip, don't order delivery. It's that simple. I make a living off of tips. How old are you? She asked. I'll be 18 in a month. So, you're still in high school, right? Why do you want to know? Because you don't make a living off of tips. You aren't in college yet and you still live with your parents. And judging by those shoes, I believe you have money. What precious parents give you only $50 a week? Hey, enough with assumptions, all right? I haven't got a dime in my wallet from my parents. That's why I got this sucky job a couple weeks ago. I hate pizza, and now I perpetually reek of it. You know literally nothing about me. I'm just a guy ordering his 10th pizza of the day, so please just stop. At this, something subtle shifted within the stranger. To this day, Patrick fails to understand how he ever befriended Jess. Their first encounter left him fuming. With only $1 left in his pocket, Patrick had sped away from the yellow house with the speakers blasting metal music. Although he now finds this extremely laughable, Jess had opened an already festering wound. Yes, his family had fat pocketbooks, but his parents had earned their wealth, graduating from top universities with well-earned law degrees, and they expected the same from their children. Patrick's older brother now works at a hospital as a nurse, and his older brother is a newly enrolled Harvard graduate. A few days later, after receiving the same address, Patrick scouted the entire 10-minute drive to the Yellow House. And once again, he swayed in wait after knocking on the pale blue door, a pepperoni pizza in hand. You again, Patrick said, simply, as the pale blue gave way to shadow. In the dark entry, the stranger smiled sympathetically and said, "You could call me Jess. I order a lot of pizza." Great. "Hey, look, I'm sorry. I was on edge that day, and you're right. I assumed too much. But money has been tight lately. I hope you understand. I regret everything I said." Patrick left with a tip of $3. Autumn arrived, slowly at first, as typical of the season, but soon every deciduous tree appeared awash in flame, leaves colored in multitudinous shades of warmth. The occasional deliveries to the Yellow House continued, and hostilities soon became friendship. "Pizza patty!" Jess shouted as soon as the door opened. "You got my pepperoni bounty?" "I have absolutely no idea what you're referring to," Patrick replied, hiding the box behind his back. Jess crossed her arms. "Shame. I was going to tip you $5. Hearing that, Patrick practically threw the box at her. "Are you freaking kidding me? $5? Jess fumbled with the box, startled, but she grinned. "Of course. What about your financial situation?" "Oh, my mom's working again. Another job hired her. But I won't lie, things have been tough. I'm behind on my commissioned poems, drowning in unfinished articles, and unable to abandon chapter 3 of my novel. I have no motivation. My only excuse is helping my mom around the house." Feeling guilty, Patrick declined the tip. "No, I insist," Jess argued. "You work literally all the time, more than I ever have. How's school going?" "Well, I applied. The waiting game has begun." "That's good to hear, but how is high school going?" "Oh." Patrick trailed up into thought. He spent so much time worrying about the future, he never considered the present. "My grades are okay. I'm trying to pull my average up." "Oh, from like a 4.0 to a 5.0, Jess asked with a laugh. "Well, actually a 3.0. Jess responded with a blank stare, and silence settled between them. "Well, what about your friends? Do you have free time to spend with them after all of your working and studying?" Jess asked to interrupt the uncomfortable quiet. "Friends? Oh, I guess I have." Realizing something, Patrick cut himself off abruptly. Wait, did he have friends? He ate lunch over textbooks. He worked after school. He studied after work. His only social interaction came from delivering pizzas. "Well, I could always use an editor, smarty pants. Feel free to visit whenever you have time." "I don't have friends either." Jess became Patrick's only friend. He edited her writing, and they ate pepperoni pizza amidst plastic flamingos. Despite despising his job with its stupid slogan and stupid pizza with every fiber of his being, Patrick always surpassed the speed limit when delivering Jess her pepperoni. With each conversation, Patrick worried less of the future until he regained the carefree personality he had before senior year. His grades began to drop, and his family's disappointment returned. But Patrick eventually grew to tolerate it all, even the pizza. And he began to enjoy his job somewhat. He began to see more than his empty plans for success. He felt alive. In his cold dorm, Patrick imagines himself once again in those autumn moments. If he closes his eyes, he can still feel the yellowing grass crunching beneath his black slacks. He can feel the soggy pizza melting against his tongue, strands of cheese collapsing and staining his button-up. He can feel the weight of the future evaporating. He can feel the pale blue all around him. And he remembers the surprising warmth of his black-clad companion, Jess's usual austere air replaced by an unabashed silliness. They talked for hours. Negative days existed, yes. Patrick often became overwhelmed by stress, and Jess experienced the occasional dreary day, her stack of rejection letters rising. But each word meant something, and every conversation still resonates with Patrick even now. Alone in a freezing room, empty save for his roommate's accumulating garbage that began an hour ago? But Patrick remembers the day the leaves fell, blanketing the earth with so much departed color. He remembers the day the pale blue sky disappeared, exiting Patrick's reality along with the door of the Yellow House. Harvard rejected his application. Jess's writing career suffered significant setbacks, and everything became gray. Patrick lost the dream he never had, but it was his only dream, besides the pizza breaks with Jess. But Jess stopped ordering pizza. This had happened before, the darkness in Jess. She was angry, cared for nothing. The energy zapped from her body by endless failure and dried up, shriveled supply of commissions. And Patrick now spent his free time feeling empty and untethered to any possible future. His grades plummeted. He chose a random state college and left everything he knew behind. Even Sally, whom he sold to pay for room and board. And Jess never said goodbye. She refused to answer his pleading knocks. The end feels less tangible than the beginning. Patrick has hardly any recollection of the spring, of the remaining days of his senior year. After one lingering luck, he slips the business card back into his wallet, and he thumbs through all of Jess's little gifts, pennies she made metaphors out of doodles of pizza, and letters he studied more than his textbooks. He goes to open one but changes his mind and pockets the wallet. His major is undecided, his only want to escape, to somehow find another reality with another stupid dream as its center. Out of the blue, Patrick's roommate throws open the door and yells, "I'm back, my man, want a legit slice of cheesy heaven?" Patrick no longer knows what he wants, and it seems that the wretched smell of pizza follows him everywhere.
Coffee. A ceramic mug contains my reason to wake each morning, a bitter, scalding beverage of the deepest brown color. Although appealing in this state, 3 spoonfuls of sugar from a mountain of miniature cubes of crystal swirl into the bottomless liquid and subtract from the bitterness. At last, a waterfall of creamer pours into the darkness, touching the depths of the mug before blooming towards the surface, transforming the liquid into a rich blend of sweet reason.
So many flavors. 1. Endless playground days spent sliding down serene slides, feet slipping into an arduous sea of pebbles, energy reclaimed through the magical, mirthful power of cheesy golden macaroni and dinosaur chicken nuggets. 2. Lunchtime in a cafeteria of white cinder blocks, bright lights, speaking feet to the melody of savory conversations, a half-eaten sandwich degrading within a grave made of its own crust. 3. Endless trips to a microwave producing warmed nacho lunchables, tiny round tortilla chips diving for too much cheese, only tasting salsa ever so tentatively as the conversation grows more convoluted and faces change, become unfamiliar. 4. A box of Little Caesars pizza opened close to midnight, the thick crust unrelenting in its taste of exhaustion and loss, the tough cheese unrelenting in its reality of overdue loneliness, the dry tomato sauce unrelenting in its promise of never finding sanctuary or peace within. 5. Surrounding faces and words that elicit pain, propped hands to shake and snatch back stolen items, stolen happiness, stolen sense of self, microwaved potato skins leaving in nothing but the feeling of being nothing, only 3 in a container to fill the emptiness. 6. Unexpected change, new life, a hopeful rebirth, hope the color of nacho cheese taco shells, the crunchy kind. Struggling optimism, like yellow shredded cheddar, uplifting cilantro, the future manifesting within the many vibrant colors of tacos, all collected in one appreciative hand. 7. Reese's eaten for breakfast under a newfound sky, one much brighter and more immense than before. Flavorful possibilities glimpsed within every wondrous curve of the earth, every winking pinprick in the night sky, every want to be open. 8. A silent companion of fiction, giving way to one surprise conversation that led to another. So many words exchanged over soggy, sad fries, orange creamsicles, and styrofoam plates. Tomorrow tasting of hope and a certain delicious excitement that spins head faster than the Earth's rotation, replaces lost and starving emptiness with something vast and wholeheartedly alive, renews a forgotten want to feel full. 9. Yet another unexpected change, one that terrifies and bleeds into tomorrow. The emptiness longs to return, longs to claw itself back into existence and replace substance with a never-ending hunger. The present taste of yesterday, like leftover meals that spin forever in the microwave, spinning into an impossible tomorrow. But hope. 10. I don't like tomorrow. Hope the color of orange is spilled beneath a lukewarm sunset. Yesterday is so vivid, so unattainable, but this is only the beginning of so many flavors.
You. I keep dreaming of you. How is it fair that you get to live in my mind all day and also occupy my dreams? How am I supposed to move on from you when you're everywhere I turn? You're in my dreams, you're in my brother's conversations, you're in the poetry I write, you're everywhere. How is that fair? How does anyone ever move on? It's been 5 years, yet it still hurts like it happened yesterday. At first, I was over it. I really was. You were hovering over me, and I couldn't look at you without thinking, I don't love you like I used to. But then time passed. The wound had time to heal, and I'm a masochistic creature, so I picked the scab. I picked it until it scarred, until I was scarred. Time has passed, but the memories stay. I met someone that looked just like you. When I was kissing him, it felt like he was you. If I closed my eyes, his arms were yours. And that was the first time I felt like I was at home, but it wasn't you. I see that you've moved on and found someone that makes you happy. I'm happy for you, I promise I am. I hope she holds you through the bad dreams I know you have. I hope she scratches your head right at the front, the way I know you like. I hope she tells you that she loves you every chance she gets. I wish I had. How am I supposed to move on from someone who has had such an impact on me? I write about you too much. Everyone knows you, but they don't know you. I know my friends are tired of me crying over you. I'm tired of it too. How does anyone ever move on?
Through my eyes. I wish you could see the world through my eyes. I wish white clovers were sweet-smelling flowers that made you dizzy as you lay among them on your back, feeling your body sink into the inviting green earth and wanting nothing more than to slip into the sky. I wish sunset stole the breath from your lungs, your eyes swelling with their frightening beauty until uncontainable emotions spilled down your cheeks. I wish the sky made you cry. I wish you'd even consider this existence at all. I wish you threw open your arms in the wind and felt its breath slipping through your outstretched fingers. I wish you threw yourself into a gusty night sky, imagining yourself a bird. As your feet thudded upon the ground, your heart beat excitedly and your hair fluttered all about you. I wish you plucked yellow dandelions from the earth because of their hopeful optimism. I wish you ran a hand through the hanging branches of trees. I wish you held azaleas to your lips and kissed their silky smooth petals. I wish you knew the earth as I lived to see it. But even more so, I wish you knew yourself as I lived to see you. I wish you saw yourself through my eyes. Your voice is a home I want to sink myself into. Your words a sanctuary I've always searched for. When you smile, the sun feels dim in comparison. You exude an infectious radiance I cannot impossibly ignore. And when your hands dance in the golden light of the fading day, and when your fingers flutter above a piano or a journal like butterfly wings, I am suddenly reverent of even the earthworms beneath my feet. Your laugh stirs a contented warmth into my chest, your crinkled eyes give joy to meaning. I know nothing with absolute certainty, but an entire universe lives inside of those eyes, one worth exploring any day. Yet you deem yourself insignificant. If the sun and the moon and the stars have a right to exist, so do you. And you deserve every bit of light. Oh, you deserve everything. I wish you were aware of the weight of your existence. I wish you knew yourself through my eyes. And this is what I have to say to everyone, everything I love. Thank you. And be eaten by the flowers. I have committed myself entirely to today. For I am more than my fear. I am significant. My breath, a part of the air that lifts the butterflies, the clouds, myself, a drop in a vast pool of meaningful life. I have committed myself to today because I am enough, and as enough as lackluster sunsets and crumbling fall leaves. I have committed myself to today so that I may love until my lungs bleed and my heart gives out, because in much love lies great strength. And I have committed myself to today so that I may savor even the gory bits of reality and scream at the sky knowing that I am so much more than myself, and with my eyes bursting with the language of the living, I will crack open my gnawing fear and be eaten by the flowers.
That is the show. We're going to ask the young folks to come out and let's give